Hey everyone, thank you for joining me in this video. So this video is going to be on my immersive simulation based learning and how I can apply this into an e-learning environment or like module online. So I have a lot of stuff on the screen right now, but I'm just going to put some final touches and explain what's going on. So I could build out my problem. Alright, it looks good enough. So I'm going to move this way so you guys can see. So I have like this little work process down on the math on how to do this. So this is going to be 17.31 feet, which is kind of roughly the size of the house I actually worked on. I knew that answer, but I wanted to work backwards and kind of show how you could use this. So up here, you can see, is the model of the house that I was working on. So I got this because when I was working on the inside, I needed to kind of figure out how many pieces I need for the cabinetry and get a general feel of how I want the living room to go. So this was kind of now this looks like this way, but it's the couch. But yeah, this was a fun project, and making this model allowed me to kind of visualize the problem, right? How many cabinets am I going to need? I'm going to need, two 36-inch cabinets or whatnot. For this immersive simulation-based learning, I wanted to put more practical applications into it. So I made this kind of formula right here. And I know right now it's a 3D model. In the next video, you guys are going to see what I'm going to do with this to make it more immersive. But for now, I'm just going to give you guys an overview on my computer. I gave the some of the known and unknowns for there, like X, that it's going to be 30 feet, and this degree here is going to be 30 degrees from that side of the triangle. And this is going to be your Y, and that's what we're solving for here. So, yep, and yeah, this is actually a really nice model. If you guys just want to see, this is actually the house I worked on. But yeah, so in the next clip, you guys are gonna see how you could use this in augmented reality, which is my primary focus. Penn State actually made a workflow on how they're using immersive learning, immersive simulation-based learning through VR. But I feel like VR is good for certain applications, especially if you want to put the students into a different environment. I believe their work case was that they were using it to show a production flow in a factory. For me, I would like to use it as a learning tool to kind of visualize the process of how you can get the answer without actually having to go outside in the meantime. So this next clip is going to show you guys how I use this in augmented reality. Hey everyone, okay, welcome back. So this is going to be the clip where I show you how to put this model into augmented reality. So right now I'm using the app called Shaper 3D. It's a great app to visualize your projects. I'm going to use this app a little differently because I'm going to actually show you how to use the AR function on this application. If I wanted to deploy this to students, I'd probably be using a different method. I'd actually integrate this into a website using the iOS UDZ AR format, but that's going to be for another video. So let's go ahead and project this. So we can tap visualize, and then we're going to click on AR up here on the upper left hand side. And then right now, it's really big because it's actually to size, so I'm going to pinch this down, and then we're going to put this on our table. So I really like this process because, one, if you give someone an iPad with this ability to put a dollhouse effect, they could kind of explore a little bit, look into the windows, and go around and look into the rooms and kind of just visualize. There's a lot of applications you could do with this. So for learning, I wanted to do this portion here. So, you may have a student come over and be like, oh, wow, look at all these features, look at all the rooms or, whatnot. How cool is this? And then you get here, right? Then you have a question. It's okay, well, how tall is this building, you know? And then you can kind of go through the process step by step. So right here you have your variables and your givens, right? And then from there you could go down here and kind of just walk through the problem. I'm just gonna scoot this over here a little bit, just so that's easier. Yeah, but now here you could like go over and, you know, oh, that's strange. What happened to our answer? That's kind of cool. Okay, maybe the answer isn't there, but that is strange. Huh. But yeah, I guess, you know, I know in my previous video I answered this, but I guess then this is kind of like a good thing to show for students. Like, okay, well, I did most of the work for you. Now you can kind of figure out what y equals, right? So what is the height of this building? So yeah, I think AR has a lot of good properties that you can integrate into an e-learning course. The visualization alone is quite interesting. So, you know, you could either have a question here or a question, you know, I think in my paper I wrote it as asymmetrical learning. So you can have a question on the screen, and then you could have a QR code to project this problem. So, you know, and you have different dimensions to this. All right, in the next video, I'm just gonna go over how I'm going to design the course, and I'll catch you in that one. Hey everyone, okay, so now that I showed you that demonstration, I'm just gonna show you a brief presentation on kind of like my workflow on how I want this class to be set up. So this is gonna be on immersive simulation-based learning. And I want students to be able to experience objects from a distance together. This would be called asymmetrical learning. So I know I showed you that model on my iPad, but unfortunately with that method, I can't have students interacting with the same model. So just as like as my demonstration here, like let's say you're on Zoom and you all have access to this one model, you can ask students, you know, to interact with the model and identify features. So every student in the class can actually go in and, you know, interact with the model and kind of give, you know, question answer based type of material. So, you know, let's say like, what feature is this? Or, you know, how big is the window? Students individually, you know, can, you know, if you ask a student a question, they can go to a certain feature and give you the answer. So eventually I'll figure out a process on how to make that work. So one model can be interacted by, one model can be used by multiple students, and, you know, there'll be different features and sets that you can make that happen. But in the previous video, you can still use the technology right now to give students visualization on what the learning material is. So why is immersive simulation-based learning good? Because, you know, it's using technology to present a situation through a simulation. One of the arguments that Penn State made, one of the articles I used for this project, was that, you know, certain companies have NDAs, so, you know, students can't actually access a facility, but they can learn about the process by using it through virtual reality. Now, in my project, I wanted to use augmented reality because I believe that that's more accessible than VR right now, because with VR, you need to get a headset. But with AR, you could actually just use your tablet or phone to view the model. And then so from there, you could, you know, disperse the information you want. It's really good for distance learning. So, you know, if someone just said, oh, just take an image of the Empire State Building or the White House. Yeah, I could look through it through a flat screen, or we have a model of the White House. It's just projected onto your table. It's a different experience altogether. And just like, you know, the Penn State article, they said that it allows the user to see the process without being at the location. So I believe their process was at like a factory process of making an object. So each student can actually go through the process of the product. So, you know, first there's like the initial state, and then there's like a refabricating state. So that's one of the pros of being able to use simulation in learning. And just like excuse me, just like virtual reality, like AR can also create an immersive learning experience. Just like the previous video, I made a dollhouse of one of the project houses I was working on, and it was fairly detailed. Yeah. I used that model a lot in kind of figuring out what type of cabinets to buy. So, it was kind of nice to be able to do that. That AR function is actually new for that program, but if I had clients and I was able to show them like, hey, this is your house, and this is what it looks like now, that's quite a different feeling. So for my project, I wanted to do the flipped classroom method. So you're gonna have a asynchronous module that's the students actually getting the information and working on absorbing the information on their own, and then they'll come to the classroom with questions. Right? So the synchronous part is the second part of the learning experience. And then this is when you'll get access to like the video lectures, audio lectures, and interactive content. This is more when, the teacher can finally come in, as the knowledge expert and present the information, right? And answer student questions. And then lastly, you'll have the end goal, which is where the students are going to get their own, is when the students are going to get their assessment. So this is the point where you'll actually assess what the student has learned, and from there give out a grade, or kind of just like be more, or give out like reinforcements if something is unsatisfactory. And so again, in conclusion, immersive simulation-based learning is a positive thing, and I feel like you could put it in a lot of e-learning classes. It can be a shared experience for an entire class. You could experience this processes that usually you can't without having to be there virtually, and you could have a lot of interactive content by using 3D models, just like as my example for trying to find the height of the building. All right, thanks for taking the time to watch my video. I'll see you all later.